Get in your mix with coffee on the coffee break. Get in your fix. It's coffee on your coffee break. Tune in now. Coffee break.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Coffee Break. We have an exciting show for you tonight. Two of my very dearest friends, all the way from New Orleans, Louisiana, are our very special guests tonight. You may not be as familiar with them as I am, but you will be after the show because they are absolutely crazy and insane, and we're going to have a fabulous time tonight. Don't forget to share the video, start your watch parties, grab your cocktail, however you want to enjoy this episode of the Coffee Break, because we are going to New Orleans, down on the bayou, baby, where Mardi Gras is king. Make sure you also go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to the Coffee Break. While you're over there, make sure you hit like. It is free to subscribe to the Coffee Break. And we appreciate all the people that are continuously going over there and subscribing. Thank you so very much. Starting next week, I have some exciting news. We are going to introduce a new segment called the Fresh Brew. And the Fresh Brew, it will do is it will highlight different people, businesses, artists, organizations in our community. Next week's Fresh Brew will present Kenny Tucker, owner of Chunky J's Bakery. And baby, if you have not tasted some of Kenny Tucker's baking, baby, you need to get to it right now. That's Chunky J's Bakery. Our featured guest next week will be the lovely and talented Miss Chloe Crawford Ross. She is going to share her untold story. So you definitely want to be here for next week. Let's get on with the show tonight. Where do I start? This first guest, we've been so much history between us. We've been through ups and downs, laughter and tears. Felicia has proven that you can be whatever you dream. She will always be my slightly older sister, and I'll be her slightly larger sister. But she's one of my dearest friends. Please welcome all the way from New Orleans, Louisiana. Show some love for Felicia Phillips. Hi, Felicia.
Hello, Coffee.
How are you? You look fabulous.
Well, thank you very much. And, yes, you are always going to be my slightly younger sister, but you're not necessarily my slightly larger sister anymore. Thanks to the quarantine diet that I've been on, I've gained a little bit of weight,
We've all had. I think we've all had that problem. I think just my breast got bigger or something. I don't know.
Girl, I would love for just my breast and my ass. If everything else would stay the same, would be fine. But it's not working that way.
Oh my God, it's so good to see you. I haven't physically seen you in quite a while. So it's so good to physically see you.
Two pork roasts to go.
Yes. Every time I go to New Orleans, Philip always cooks. So an amazing cook. So we're going to get started tonight because, as I said in the introduction, there's a lot of people that are watching tonight that may not know you as well as I do. So will you start off by giving us a brief bio, like, where you're originally from, how old you are, your given name, how old you are, your given. Just
I get the drift.
Introduce you to our viewers tonight.
Well, for any of y'all that were in Houston during the early to mid 80s, you would have known me from booth number 14 at the ballpark on Richmond Avenue. Donna Day was usually in booth 17, not to be confused, but let's just put it this way. When it comes to age, I've been around a while. You're my slightly younger sister, but only by 6 months.
Exactly.
So if you're going for 39, I'll be 6 months older than that. Let's leave it at that. But I'm originally from the big, beautiful, at one time, city of Beaumont, Texas, deep in Southeast Texas, but close enough to get to Houston when you need to. And I was born and bred there and lived actually there the majority of my life, other than in the early 90s. I did move to Houston for a brief period of time. I was a little bit unbalanced at the time, so we won't talk about that. I saw coffee more when I lived in Beaumont than when I moved to Houston. And
Exactly.
It was a boy thing, how that does. But anyways, I actually lived in Beaumont the majority of my life until 2010, when I decided to make the move here to New Orleans. After, 2 hurricanes and multiple other things, I decided it's time to go. And so I've been here ever since.
Well, we're gonna actually talk about that as well too. So you are, like you said, you're originally from Beaumont. You know, I think that a lot of the younger generation or the millennial generation, as we like to call it, I don't think they really realize just how much history you had in the drag scene in Beaumont, Texas. Can you kind of enlighten them about that? Because you were one of the people that first brought me to Beaumont at Scandals and the Copa
Yes.
before that. So
I was the second that got you there. I'll give that whole story in a second. But yeah, a thing that a lot of people don't realize about Beaumont back in the day, during the Fabulous 4 and Fabulous 5 days, the Copa Beaumont was owned by Lynn Gainey and Gene Howe, the same bar owners that had the Copa Houston, that of course everyone, no matter how old they are, should still know about the Copa Houston. But the deal was, before it became the Copa, it was called the Farmhouse, okay? Which they also had the Farmhouse Houston.
yes.
What I learned from them at a very, very young age, because I started working literally, I was maybe in 7th grade. I had a fake ID, but I worked for them very young in life. And I learned from them that they came to Beaumont for a reason. They actually started business, I don't know if you knew this, in College Station, Texas. They had a
Oh,
place
I didn't know that.
called the Sound Factory, I believe was the name of it, in College Station. So they looked for another smaller town that had very low overhead so they could build their money to invest in bigger cities. So they came to Beaumont, and they actually bought the bar from a straight couple that owned a, let's call it a female erotica bar, a bar.
A
They were a
stripper
strip
bar.
bar. So Lynn and Jean bought the farmhouse from them, and it became the Copa. So they, of course, were going to take that money that they made in Beaumont, and they went from the Farmhouse Houston to the Copa Houston, and which became legendary with Naomi and Donna and Tasha and Tiffany Jones, the whole bit. And that's kind of how we had our first connection. But I went to work for them, like I said, very early on, which gave me the contacts with the people that were national entertainers. Even though we were very small fish in a very small pond, we had the connections to the big ones. And I became very fast friends with Naomi and Donna, the whole bunch. And actually, the Copa was so good at the time, they would give us employee cards. So whenever we were off in Beaumont, we could go to Houston, and we didn't pay for anything at any bar. That's how
Oh,
good.
wow.
That's how good times were back then.
Your drinks as
If you were
well.
a Copa employee, you got in for free and you drank for free wherever you went.
Wow.
But
Those days are definitely
where
gone.
you came on the scene, and I've told this story before, you were booked for a regular Sunday night through a mutual friend of ours, Candy Love, Ellis Williams, God rest his dear sweet soul. And he raved and raved and raved. But what we were confused on, he probably told us Coffee, but we thought he was bringing Candy Holiday from Galveston. And so you showed up, and we're like, you did the first number, and we're like, well, that's not Candy Holiday. She's short, she's kind of heavy, but that's not Candy Holiday. But then you ended that night. I don't know if you remember this, but you had a garbage bag filled with balloons.
Party lights.
Yes, you closed the show with party lights, and we all said the same thing. Well, I don't give a shit who she is. She good. And that was how Coffee came to Beaumont originally. But then when I broke ties with the Copa, I became the youngest show director that Beaumont's ever had. I was only 24 years old at the time and became the show director at Scandals. And by then, Candy was one of my very best friends, and Candy was the regular cast member with me. And I said, you know what? I want Coffee. You know Coffee? Oh, yeah, girl, I make up. Oh, yeah, girl, I make all the clothes. And that's how we became friends, was starting the booking at Scandals. And then when I went back to the Copa for a little bit more money, I would bring you regularly. You were, of course, one of my favorites. And we became best friends after that. So that was the history. But yeah, the Copa Beaumont opened up all the doors to me for the connections with the big entertainers. And when I went to work for Scandals, they were people that had some money. Lynn and Jean had sold the bar by the time.
Right.
And we had can I say son of a bitch? We had a son of a bitch bought the bar, and we didn't like him. But I went to work at Scandals, and they would actually give me a budget to work with. So like our cast was myself, Candy Love, and for a time, Jerry Harper.
Uh-huh.
And we would bring you, Naomi, Donna, Tasha came after I left, but Jimmy D, I mean, national entertainers would come to
I
Scandals.
remember that.
It was a wonderful experience. So
Yeah,
that's my past there in Beaumont. Yeah, a lot of connections.
yeah, that's why I don't think a lot of the like I said, the millennial generation of Beaumont today really understand
They
just how
have no
involved
clue.
you were
They have no
in the
clue.
drag scene. Yeah, exactly. So now this move to New Orleans, because let me tell y'all something. For as long as I can remember, from the very first time I met Felicia, she was like, "Oh, I just want to live in New Orleans. I just want to live. It's my day. It's my dream to live in New Orleans." And one of the reasons among many that I admire her so much, is that she really meant this. And when the opportunity came, she has done it. And I mean, but why New Orleans?
You know, that's a good question. It was something, I always had a draw to New Orleans, and you know, I would come visit. I was young, and we would party, and New Orleans was a good place to go. I never related it when it came to drag, because I'll tell you this little short story. Jimmy Emerson, Roxy Starr, who was originally from Orange, Texas, but has been in Vegas for years through Lacage and Boy Let's Review and all that. Jimmy used to tour a lot of times with a queen from Houston named Lilo the Stripper, probably even before your time. But
Mm-hmm.
she was fabulous. She looked like Barbara Eaton, but she was older, and she would strip, and she was just wonderful. So a few years passed, and Jimmy came to town, and I asked, I said, well, where's Lilo? Lilo hasn't been doing shows. He says, oh, honey, Lilo moved to New Orleans. And I said, well, why would Lilo move to New Orleans? Well, you know, that's where all old queens go to die. So as much as I had that calling to New Orleans, I had that ringing in the back of my head. You know, that's where old queens go to die. So, you know, after the hurricanes happened, I just got this. You and I have the same similar faith. So I could say a gut instinct, but I'm going to say, I could hear God telling me, you got to go to New Orleans. You have to go to New Orleans. You know, by that time, everything had happened. We'd had two major hurricanes. I
Yeah.
no longer had my shop. The
Right.
bar that I was the general manager of the time and the show director was completely blown down to the concrete foundation. So I was doing anything in order just to survive. And it was struggling. And it made no sense to really feel this intense call to move to New Orleans. It made absolutely no sense. But I finally just gave in and went, you know what? I'm doing it. And I remember I had tried for 2 or 3 years to get a job and figure out how to make myself stable, and nothing would come about. So they'd had tornadoes, I believe, in Missouri or somewhere, and I'm watching the television, and you've been in my house, you know, after we had redone it all, and it was a nice little show place.
Right.
So I
Right.
was very comfortable in my home in Beaumont, and I'm laying there on the couch, my really beautiful couch I love, and I see these
The
people that
purple one.
lost everything that they had in the blink of an eye, right? And
Yes.
so I have an epiphany, and I'm like, you know what? I've got all this beautiful stuff, just like those people had beautiful stuff that they lost in the blink of an eye. I don't need this. So I sold everything that I owned, everything. So I had enough just to at least get to New Orleans. And when I tell you that was God's finger pointing this direction, it was, because it didn't take more than maybe 6 to 8 months. And I could see every brick in that foundation being laid. I had no
Wow.
job when I moved here. I barely had an apartment because I moved in with my ex-business partner and his other half. And it was just a very unsure situation. But every day it became clearer and clearer. No, you made the right decision. This is where you're supposed to be. And I can guarantee you it was the thing to do.
Well, I can attest to that because it says you had actually stopped performing and everything while you were still in
Totally.
Beaumont. You had stopped performing, and then I look up, and all of a sudden you're in New Orleans, and you were running the little shop for a while, and all of that. And because I would always stay with you when you came in, when I came there, and but to show just how that was the direction that you were supposed to go, because you've been in New Orleans for what, about 12 years now, 12 or
10,
13 years.
11 years.
And the thing is that you have become so involved and so prominent. You've already tell us about your experience being Grand Marshal of Southern Decadence. You've been one of the
Oh,
Grand
it's been
Marshals.
fun. The way it all happened is, yes, I had not done, literally, when I came here, because I sold everything that I owned, everything. When it came to drag, I had one wig and I had a pair of platform boots. and a box of mixed match makeup. And that was it. That was all I had. Never intended on doing drag ever again. But I started making contacts with people, Tiffany in the other room being one of them. And I kind of kept it quiet, my connections to Texas. A few people knew, but not many didn't. And I confided in Dominique DeLorean from Miss Gay, Louisiana, because she would come in the shop on a regular basis, and we bonded. And another regular queen here, fabulous Coca Mesa, and just started, sharing stories with them and helping Coca with her makeup. And it kind of blossomed from there with them, like, well, you need to do a show. So I got involved with Southern Decadence by being in their entourages and became literally almost instant friends with Reba Douglas. And it was over literally a conversation out of drag. She never knew I did drag. We were in a bar. I knew her as a photographer, author, and she just knew me as a customer. And so we were having a conversation, and she brought up her older brother who's passed, that was a queen named Pearlie Mae. And she brought up a show in Lafayette. She goes, the best show I ever went to was the first show I ever went to. It was Naomi Sims and this one and that one, and some gypsy queen named Deetra Allen. And I looked like Linda Blair and the extras. I said, who did you say? Deetra Allen. Deetra Allen, if I ever had to say I had a drag mother, would have been Deetra Allen. She was the first one that ever put me in drag. And so I tell her, so at that time, it was the year that Maybelline Mascara had won Miss Gay Louisiana. She was the oldest Miss Louisiana ever. And so Maybelline was there, and Reba grabbed her and says, Mary, do you know who this is? Do you know who she knows? And it kind of went from there. The next thing I know, I'm in her entourage in drag and doing fundraisers in drag. And it just took off from there. Within 2 years, I was named Southern Decadence Grand Marshal. And since then, I've been the Grand Reveler of the Crew du Royale Mystic Revelers, which is a big kickoff for Gay Mardi Gras. And I was known as a cheese queen because I started writing a regular column for Ambush magazine. Right. And a satirical little gossip column, which was great. And Rip and Marsha dubbed me the cheese queen. And then after Rip and Marsha passed, just this past year, I was overwhelmed when the new owners of Ambush asked me to be the King Cake Queen, which is the queen that reigns over Mardi Gras. So,
oh, wow, that's right. I was trying to come down there and surprise you for that.
Oh, right before COVID hit, and we were all together, and the owner of Ambush actually came down with COVID a week later.
Oh, so, wow.
That's all happened. But so I'm balancing all this good with all this that's going on now, but it did not deter me in knowing that, had I not made that choice of coming here and listening to that voice, I don't think I could have survived what we're going through right now if I was still in Beaumont. And that's just the truth. So it's been great, girl.
It sure has. Look, for me as well.
You've turned this for me.
Well, for a fact that this is something I always wanted to do. Now, if we can just get to that monetary stage of it, it's going to really be fabulous.
It opened the door for you.
Yes. So tell me this, what is one of the toughest decisions that you've ever had to make in your life to this date?
Well, other than having to sign a do not resuscitate for my mother, I mean, that's something that I think no one could ever imagine having to do. And out of a family of 7, it was left up to me. So, of course, that would be the number one thing. But that was something that had to be done. As far as the toughest decision that I had choices in, it would have been, you know the story, but I had a shop a total of 25 years. I was a costumer. That's how I was predominantly known as
exactly. The theater box. Wasn't it the theater box?
It was a theater box costumes, and we were the premier costume shop of all of Southeast Texas. And next to Frankel's in Houston, of course, who I worked for. But I sold the shop initially in 1989 when my mother got sick and thought I would never do it again. That's when I moved to Houston. And that literally only lasted maybe a year and a half. My father was getting, ill, and I moved back to Beaumont, started over with a business partner, but literally rebuilt a shop from scratch. I had 10 costumes on a rack.
I remember that.
The first shop, I had 3,500 costumes. Well, we built that in another 10 or 11 year period to a stock of over 5,500 costumes. So it was like, it was a shop, and it was a wonderful shop. But towards the mid to late 90s, I kind of had this foresight that the internet was literally going to kill the costume business. And I made some mistakes. I bought another shop out at a very good price that I was supposed to pay, over time. And the money just started getting less and less and less. So it came to the point that I knew I can't continue like this. I'm going to have to file bankruptcy, all this. So I had to make the decision to literally close the shop. At that time, there wasn't a market to sell it anymore like I did the first time. The plan was to put everything on eBay, and I had it planned, for my retirement. Mm-hmm. And it was that last day locking that door that I had to really think twice. Am I doing the right thing? And, hindsight is 2020. I still think that I did. But it was hard because I knew that when I closed that shop, I was going to owe good people money that I would never know if I could ever pay them back or not. And luckily, they've been wonderful people. They've been understanding over the years, and hopefully one day I will have money and I can pay those debts from that. But that was the hardest thing I've ever done, because that shop, next to Drag, that shop was my life, since high school. So that was it.
Well, I remember the shop so well because Candy used to actually make costumes for your shop. So also
Candy, one of the pictures that I sent you, that was a newspaper clipping. That was Candy made that literally in 3 days in my dining room in the little bitty apartment I lived next door to the shop, and finished it at 8 o'clock in the morning for me to get on a 9 o'clock in the morning flight. And we won best masquerade costume in the country at the National Costumers.
Oh my God.
I came back, and that's when Candy had gotten sick, and I didn't know it. So the whole time she was sewing that for me, she was sick. She was dying.
Yeah.
And, we've been through this. Didn't know it, So that's something that you can never get over that, But yeah, actually that's how I originally met Donna Day. It wasn't from the shows. It was when we had the little bitty shop. Donna and Candy would drive to Beaumont to get pink and purple blush. I had a blush that they couldn't find anywhere else, and they would come and get it from me in Beaumont.
Yep. Well, the conversation has been incredible. I knew almost everything, I think, but there were some things that I didn't know. But what we're going to do is that we have another wonderful person from New Orleans that we're going to bring in just a moment. But Felicia's not going anywhere. Y'all have to excuse me because I'm so used to calling him Philip. On Facebook, he's Philip Anthony, and I'm so used to calling him Philip. Now I keep wanting to say Philip instead of Felicia, but it's okay. It's okay. So she's not going to go anywhere. She's going to come back with us because we're going to talk to another legend from New Orleans, from Louisiana as well. And then we're going to have them both back together. So y'all show some love once again. My dear, dear friend, all the way from New Orleans, Louisiana, this is Felicia Phillips.
I love you, my dear.
I love you too. Thank you. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce someone. She is everything. She's a legend. She's the mother of Louisiana drag. She's a makeup artist, and she owns more shoes than Imelda Marcos. And when I'm serious, I am so serious. She's opened a lot of doors that gave me many opportunities in New Orleans. Please welcome my good friend, longtime friend and sister, Miss Tiffany Alexander.
Hello, honey.
Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
Let me tell you, first of all, I was trying to have a little surprise for you because when I asked you the other day to have Randy call me, if you don't know, Tiffany Alexander is like the drag mother of Louisiana. And one of her drag daughters is actually Brandy Alexander, a former Miss Gay America, but also Randy Finoli on Say Yes to the Dress. And we were trying to get him in tonight to kind of surprise you a little bit.
I'm sorry. That would have been, he is in Florida at his home, once again dealing with COVID and everything else that we're all
doing, So. Right. Well, first of all, as I said, the audience that's watching tonight, I know you and Felicia very, very well, but let's give them a little brief bio of Tiffany Alexander.
Okay, I'm originally from Baton Rouge. I started my drag career in 1980, I don't know, and at the tender age of, this is a true story. This is very funny. I graduated from high school on a Friday, and I won my very first title, Miss Gay Baton Rouge, that Saturday. So I
Are you
literally,
serious?
I'm dead serious. There are not a lot of people that know this, but I had been sneaking into the gay bars in Baton Rouge when I was 17, and I saw my very first show. Didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I entered this bar pageant called Miss Gay Baton Rouge, just Miss Gay Baton Rouge, and I won. And I was 18 years old and weighed 99 pounds, and that's how it all kind of started. I had done a talent contest a few weeks before, and Tiffany Alexander was not my first name. I had another name,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, when the MC kept saying my name, I never went, never was paying attention. And she's like, my first name, I ain't gonna say it.
No,
Anyway,
no, you gotta tell us. You gotta
okay,
tell us.
my first drag name that never made it on stage was Suzanne Sharif. And it was because I love Suzanne Summers and I had seen Omar Sharif and Funny Girl and loved the combination because I had seen some drag queens from Florida who had performed in Baton Rouge. And one of them's name was Simone Saray. And I just loved that name. So I was trying to do something like that. But it just really didn't suit me. And so right before I walked on stage, I said, what about Tiffany Alexander? And the MC said, oh, I love that so much better. And I won the talent contest my very first night. I had turned 18 2 weeks before. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, Nicole Dubois entered the same contest and won, but she was just Nicole. And
Ah,
and we met within like less than a month and became friends instantly. And back in that day, this was in the early 80s, you didn't have anything. You just went out and drag to get your name out,
exactly.
so you remember this.
Exactly.
And one night, me and Nicole went out together in drag to watch a show. And we had a little bit to drink. And she said, girl, I need a last name. I need a last name. And as we were leaving the bar after many, many cocktails, I looked at her and I went, Nicole Dubois. And she said to me, girl, remember this tomorrow when we wake up. So literally, Tiffany Alexander was born and Nicole Dubois were born all within the same period of time. Many, many years ago in Baton Rouge, that's my hope. But Suzanne Sharif never made it on stage.
Well, I actually I like Tiffany Alexander a lot better,
A lot
and
better.
now
Yeah.
it's all over Louisiana and even over the country. So, but now let's talk about this because I mean I know a lot of people have a lot of crazy obsessions,
Yes.
but baby, let me tell y'all, every time I would go to Louisiana, here come Miss Tiffany in the dressing room. Oh, Coffee, look, I just picked these up. Now, because what she has the biggest shoe collection. Y'all think I have a lot of shoes? She has the largest shoe collection that I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, what was the? Because what size do you wear?
8.5 in a woman's.
Well, that's just disgusting. Well, what is it? I mean, because I love beautiful shoes too. But I mean, what was the obsession with shoes?
I've always loved, I mean, as you can tell, I love jewelry. I love accessories. My mother, when I was a teenager, even like a young boy, we would watch old movies and she would always tell me, it's all about the accessories. It's all about, you can take a simple black dress and add a beautiful pair of earrings and jewelry, but the shoes are always like that thing. And I guess because I was lucky that I could always walk into a shoe store back in the day, back in the 80s, Coffee, remember Wild Pair?
Oh yeah! Oh my God! Yeah.
And Wild Pair always had the most beautiful shoes. And when I first started doing drag and all through the 80s, you could walk into Wild Pair and they just had the most beautiful shoes. And back then you could get a beautiful pair of shoes for like $30, you know? And because I wore a woman's real size of like 8, 8.5, they always had it in stock. So if they had a shoe I liked and it was in my size, which it always was, and they had it in 3 different colors, I would buy all 3 colors. I mean, I've literally walked into a shoe store one time and they had 9 colors of one shoe, and I bought 8. I bought 8 of the 9 colors.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I have to say that I'm not obsessed with shoes as much as, but then also I wear a size 11. So
well, I'm also only 5 foot, you know, not even 7. I'm like, you know, small frame and not as small as I used to be. But yeah, when I started doing drag, I only weighed, when I graduated high school, I weighed 99 pounds. So I did not even weigh 100 pounds. And
I think I weighed that when I was born.
Yeah,
I think I weighed 99 pounds when I was born.
Well, don't weigh it. I don't weigh that anymore. That's not the subject we want to discuss.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all, especially after the quarantine. So a lot of people also don't realize that you have been Miss Louisiana America twice.
Yes, yes.
How did that happen?
Okay, so in 1990, my drag daughter, Brandy Alexander, Randy Finoli, won Miss Gay America. And he had competed in 88, 89, and then won in 1990. And the one thing he had said was it was a shame that there was never a Miss Louisiana America. So his goal was to start Miss Gay Louisiana America. Him and a bar owner in Lafayette started the pageant. Randy stepped away from the pageant so I could enter, which I did, and I won in Lafayette against Racine Ross and Lady Baronessa from Lafayette, who were very celebrities in Lafayette, and I won. I won every category except for evening gown because somebody had put their hand on my dress with powder on it.
Oh, wow.
As I was walking on stage. That's a whole different story. But anyway, I know. So I won the very first Miss Gay Louisiana. Then I reigned for a year. I crowned Lady M. After that, the pageant had kind of didn't have a direction. Well, Mona Littlemore, who was a queen from Arizona, moved to Louisiana, bought the pageant, and literally called me and said, Tiffany, we're wanting to continue Miss Louisiana. We would like you to enter again. And I said, well, I can't enter again. I've already won. And she said, there's a rule in Miss America at that time that if you had won the pageant before and it was bought by a new owner,
right,
enter again. And I said, okay. So I really didn't think much more about it. About a month went by. Well, the problem was the reigning Miss Louisiana, who was Lady M, had only reigned for 9 months, and they were wanting to have the pageant at the 10-month mark, or like 11.
Okay.
So they contacted Norma Christie, and Norma Christie said, if you just change the title, but still call it Miss Louisiana, she can re-enter. It's a whole different pageant, blah, blah, blah. So for that particular year, they called it Miss Gay Pelican State America. So, and me like an idiot, I still say to this day, I don't know why I did this, but I contacted we all have our little posse, and our little posse said, do it. So I did it, and I won again. The funny thing is, when we go to nationals, the first night they introduced me as Miss Pelican State. The second night they introduced me as Miss Louisiana. So I was only Pelican State for a few months because every time after that, I was always introduced as Miss Louisiana. It was just done because of legality at that time.
Exactly. Okay.
And then when I gave it up, I crowned the next girl Miss Pelican State. And she once again was Miss Pelican State. But every time we were introduced as Miss Louisiana. And then the following year, it officially went back to Miss Gay Louisiana.
Oh, my God.
I know it's kind of complicated, but when people ask me, that's how it all happened.
And see,
I had nothing to do with it. It was just the owner basically said, if you enter and win, we know that you will help us continue it because of my love for the
you were going to
American.
work. You were a great title holder, so you were
Well,
going to
and
work.
because I love the system, and by then Randy had won Miss Gay America. I had seen what he had done, and as a female impersonator, Miss America will always be the ultimate in female impersonation to me.
Right. And you've been involved. I mean, like I said, you're a Louisiana legend, and you've been involved with the Southern Decadence and the Mardi Gras as well. I think you've probably been everything with Southern Decadence and everything with Mardi Gras. What is like the highest position that you held like with Mardi Gras?
Well, Mardi Gras in last year, 2019, I was honored enough to be appointed King Cake Queen. King Cake Queen is very complicated. Once again, it's owned by Ambush Magazine. It was originally owned by some people who have passed away. Tommy Acosta, who is a fabulous human being here in New Orleans, a gay attorney, bought the magazine. And when he bought it, he did not realize that he would own the magazine, King Cake Queen, the GAAs, which are the Gay Appreciation Awards, the Gay Easter Parade. When he bought this one thing, he bought many things.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So he had to pick a King Cake Queen. He came to me and invited me to dinner and floored me and asked me to be King Cake Queen. I was blown away because I never thought it would happen because of the previous owners. Let's just say we were not on the best relationship.
Okay.
But anyway, so I accepted. Then with the help of Aubrey Sinclair, knowing the complete history, we realized that I was the 25th queen. I was the silver anniversary queen. So yeah, so it all kind of fell into place. I was greatly honored. It was an amazing year to represent gay Mardi Gras in New Orleans, and that's what King Cake Queen. You're representing gay Mardi Gras in New Orleans. And
okay.
Yeah, so it's a huge honor. It all involves Ambush Magazine, which is celebrating over 25 years of being published here in New Orleans and in Louisiana. And then, of course, this year I was lucky enough to crown my little mini me, as I call her, Felicia Phillips. My little sister from another person who we met. It's just that's a whole different story.
Well, I love to eat king cake.
Well, king cake is a wonderful thing. And then you were asking about Southern Decadence. Southern Decadence, people don't understand Southern Decadence. Southern Decadence is the second oldest gay holiday in the United States. When I was at the Decadence Grand Marshal in 2011, we were lucky enough to be the second largest gay event in the United States besides Gay Pride in New York.
Oh, wow.
It's gotten to be a literally $1 billion week, which used to be something that only was a weekend thing that has turned into a week event for Gay Pride. Now, it is not officially Gay Pride. That's a whole separate thing. Southern Decadence was started by a straight woman who gave a party for her gay friend who was moving out of New Orleans. It's how it's
wow. I never knew that.
Many people don't. And she gave a party in the Bywater, which is a neighborhood on the other side of the French Quarter. And during the course of the party, people were like, oh my God, this is so fun. You should have this every year. So the following year, she said, well, I'm going to have this party again. So she started having a party every year during the end of summer for Labor Day. One year they said you should appoint a grand marshal. So they did. And a simple home party became this huge event that is now Southern Decadence. and I was lucky enough to be appointed
Wow.
Southern Decadence Grand Marshal in 2011. That's a great honor. That's probably the biggest honor because it is really, my friend who was the bar manager at the Bourbon Pub the year before was Grand Marshal, and you're part of an entourage, and then they pick and blah, blah, blah. And Julian Arteressa was Grand Marshal and my dear friend 2010, and he asked me to be his Grand Marshal for 2011.
Oh,
And
wow.
I just remember he was in the manager's office at the Bourbon Pub, and they said, Tiffany, Julian needs to see you in the office. I thought I was in trouble, like I had done something. And I go down, and he asked me to be Grand Marshal, and I cried my eyelashes off.
Oh my God. It's really amazing because I know there's thousands and thousands of people that go to Southern Decadence and probably have no idea that it started as a party at a house by a straight lady on top of that.
They don't. You know,
Wow.
and I love, let me say, I love Decadence. It's my favorite thing every year. I wish it was like in February so we didn't sweat as much, but it's not. It's so damn hot. I just wish that more people that came to New Orleans understood what it was about. And it's
Right.
not about a lot of the things that you see in the street.
Exactly.
It's really
Exactly.
about friendship and love and celebrating the friendship and everything that New Orleans is. It really is.
Wow. God, I learned something. I'm glad I asked you that question because I had no clue. I thought it was just always some big, huge party that everybody wanted to go out in the middle of the street and have on as little clothes as they could have on and things like that. But that was very, very informative. What would you consider to be the lowest moment in your career?
Okay. Okay. You sent me this question in advance. I'm just letting everybody know. I have worked at the Bourbon Pub for many, many years, as a lot of people know. When I moved to New Orleans, I moved to New Orleans to retire from drag. That did not go very well.
Obviously.
I moved to New Orleans, just to let you know, on April 1st, 1996, from Baton Rouge. And I moved to New Orleans to retire from drag because in Baton Rouge, I'd been a very big fish in a very small pond. I had lived in New Orleans about 10, 11 months, and Scarlett O'Hara Butler came to me and said, we're starting shows at the Bourbon Pub. I would like you to be a cast member. I was a cast member. Within 9 months, I became show director. Worked there for about 14, 15 years. Went through, always have been show director. A new manager had started, and let's just say we did not see eye to eye. He basically took the show director position from me and made himself show director, which I'm just saying this, bar managers that know nothing about drag should never be show director.
I agree.
Okay, right, you agree. And
I agree.
there are others in this state and region anyway. So I was performing one night for a show that I was not getting paid for, which had never happened. In the middle of the show, they let me know I was not getting paid because he had booked 7 other people to perform. I made a comment on stage he did not like, and I was physically removed from the bar.
Oh my God.
Which a lot of people do not know. I was physically removed from the bar after my second number. After working there for 14, 15 years. That was the lowest point of my career. I was devastated. I had already heard through the grapevine that he was trying everything he could to get rid of me for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so I left. I was no longer there for about 2 years. Was out for Mardi Gras, ran into the bar owner. She invited me back, asked me to come back, which I was very excited about. And in those 2 years, I had started doing shows in Homa every other week and had taken another show.
I remember that.
Was still working in New Orleans and in Homa and still busy, was performing in Baton Rouge. So I was still had a pretty regular gig, but just not at the bar that basically my career in New Orleans started at.
Right.
And another manager basically lied to the bar owner and the manager saying I did not want to come back, even though I had been invited back. So then months and months go by. I'm in the car one night on the way to Homa with Aubrey Sinclair, who was the show director at the Bourbon Pub by then. And she said to me, "Why don't you want to come back to the pub?" And I said, "I don't understand what you're asking." And she said, "Well, so-and-so said you refused to return to the pub." And I said, "That is not true." So within a 45-minute car ride, we had discovered that the new manager also had lied and said that I did not want to come back to the pub.
Oh my God.
So there was lots of drama, and I think that everything happens for a reason in life. And I've always said this, it's my, and then within 2 days, all that was cleared up. I was invited back, but the lowest point was literally being asked. I mean, I was literally escorted out by security.
Wow, because I that was one of my favorite things about coming to New Orleans was working on the Profile Showcast.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite things, and I had no idea that it come to all of that. That's
It was crazy. It was a very and like I said, there was. I only blame one person who literally was the manager at the time, and within 2 months he was no longer manager because he had many issues. And then other managers came in, and then once again another manager, and it was just lack of communication. People talking and blah blah blah.
Yeah, which they often do in the gay community, which they often, well, in everywhere, in the gay community, straight community, you always got the people who always want to be the, I don't want to say the word, but the stirrers of, and the haters and things like that. Oh my God. Well, as I said earlier, you're one of my favorite people. I love New Orleans. I haven't been there in quite a while.
We want you to come back. We love you, Kofi. We know that.
When all this is all done and over, maybe I can come back. But I thank you so much for taking time out tonight to come on and answer a few questions, because I want the rest of the world. There's so many great entertainers that within their own region, they are very, very, they're legends and people know them. But a lot of people around the United States don't know them as well as they should. And That's one of my goals with the show, is to start traveling to different cities virtually and introducing the world to a lot of other people who has put as much time in as we have, and who have worked hard in their areas and their regions to make sure that drag is still staying alive. So we're gonna thank you, Tiffany, so much.
Thank you.
And we're gonna go and come back, and we're gonna have Tiffany and Felicia. This should be something. We're gonna have Tiffany and Felicia.
If I can get a word in, because Felicia talks a lot.
Okay, so we'll be right back. Once again, love you so much, Tiffany, and I wish I wore size 8.5.
My friend, thank you so much for inviting me. I have looked forward to this all month.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so glad. Thank you. Okay, we'll be right back. We'll be right back with Felicia and Tiffany Alexander. I love New Orleans. If you have not been to New Orleans and seen the shows at the Bourbon Pub and Oz and all those places, which I know most of the people in Texas spend a lot of time in New Orleans. So, but right now we're going to bring, Felicia's going to join Tiffany right now, and we're going to ask them a couple of questions together and see what we can get going on here. I think y'all get ready, because I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen. So once again, also don't forget to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. If you have not subscribed, please do. It's free to do so, and we really, really appreciate you. Don't forget, next week with Chloe Crawford Ross, and we're going to start our new segment called The Fresh Brew with Kenny Tucker, who owns Chunky J's Bakeries, which is absolutely amazing. And I think we're ready for Felicia and Tiffany.
I don't know where you put it at.
I didn't even see that. Oh, no, we're not ready.
Where's that?
We're not ready.
When I was doing all that talking, y'all was supposed to be getting in place.
She had to get her a drink.
I'm sorry. I had to get my We're in New Orleans. We need drinks.
Okay.
No hours are open, but
I know. This is the second week that my guests have had a drink, and I don't have one. So I'm going to start having, I'm going to have a cup of coffee or something sitting here.
Mine's in a cup.
As a good Christian would say, as Jerry Falwell Jr. would say, mine is just a prop.
I'm gonna tell you, Kofi, I don't know if you've been to Felicia's new house, but she literally lives across the street from the corner pocket.
Oh my God.
Out of the corner pocket and across the street, and you're in Felicia's house.
Oh my God, I'm gonna be in trouble.
For the people watching who know what the corner pocket is.
Kofi's gonna be ready to come visit as soon as this quarantine is over now.
I've been a couple of times, but I can imagine after the quarantine is over. I can imagine. Well, both of y'all have been performing, for many, many years. So one of the questions I want to ask y'all together, what is it about performing that you enjoy the most?
Okay, I'm going to start with this because sitting at home every weekend, and especially on Sundays, as Kofi can tell you, because our show was always every Sunday for 20 years, actually. It's just not interacting with people. I so miss interacting with people. I loved New Orleans because every weekend you would see your old friends, but you meet new people. And that's what I love about our city. And it just makes me so sad to see what we're having to deal with now. And like just coming downtown to Felicia's house today, the quarter is boarded up. It's empty. The sun.
Wow.
It's the only time you can offer. I literally parked across the street from our house because there's nobody in the quarter. It's that.
Wow. And you could never find parking in the quarter on the weekend.
Exactly. And it's just sad and depressing. And if our mayor doesn't finally decide to do something and open up some type of bars and let people do something, I have a great fear that many bars, straight and gay, will be closing because the rent on these buildings is outrageous. And these people that own a lot of these buildings are not letting bar owners float. They're basically saying, if you don't pay your rent and your insurance and everything else, then you don't have a place. The bar won't exist anymore.
They still want their money regardless.
Oh,
yeah.
We've already had one bar close.
Oh yeah, we have. But now to take it back to the actual question that you asked, this is going to be like the debates between Trump and Biden. The thing that I get out of it entertaining is to be able to look out at a crowd and see someone smile and know that I'm the reason that they smiled.
Yes.
Always, we learned a long time ago, me and you at the same time, all the big ones told us, just smile. Always smile, because if you smile at them, they're going to smile back. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're old school.
And that just gives you so much energy. And to know that you're actually doing something that is making someone feel better in their life. And to bring it back to how she sidestepped it, but into modern times here, I think now it's more important. Our profession, our art, will be more important. I know you have a question that's going to lead into what we think about the virtual drag now, but coming out of this, because I do believe we will, I think it's going to be more important to us for other people's good as well as our own than it's ever been before. If you remember correctly, at Newman's funeral, after Whitney got you back inside from hyperventilating, Paige had to take you outside. She did. Whitney Page carried. She couldn't breathe. Kofi couldn't breathe. It was bad. But Naomi wrote her own eulogy, remember?
Yes.
And that's what got me to go back to doing drag after quitting 2 or 3 times. Naomi's words were, if God gave you a gift that you can bring joy to someone else's heart, use that gift. Share that gift. And I think that's going to be very important for us coming out of this.
I totally agree, because no matter how much drag you watch on TV and all this internet and RuPaul's Drag Race, which is all subject, we're old school. we're all in our 50s. Let's be honest. We're all in our 50s. And when we were, shut up. When we were first performing, you went out to enjoy a show. You went out to meet people and to enjoy the love and to meet the queens and just meet everybody. And like she said, to see that smile on your face. And once again, I remember seeing Naomi on the stage for the first time. I remember seeing Coco, my God, the amazing Coco.
Oh, yeah.
Who is my idol, will always be my idol.
I look more like her, but
and I love her. And then seeing this one, when she moved to New Orleans, we're the same person, basically.
Well, I mean, y'all. Well, we're gonna do a part 2 of New Orleans, because when things open, well, I think what we'll do is when things open back up, I'll actually come and do a show live from New Orleans in the French Quarter and things like that. You kind of touched on the subject about the virtual shows and things like that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna end it. We're gonna end it right there, because y'all are just amazing people, and I want people to know how incredible you are to us. Y'all both talk a lot, but y'all are amazing. But just on behalf of everybody here at the Coffee Break, I mean, y'all are doing an amazing. Y'all look amazing.
Thank you.
To be older than me. So y'all. So I can't wait to get back to New Orleans. And like I said, this has been a dream of mine. And I love all the people who've been supportive of me and coming on the show. And, someone said to me, well, if you have people that a lot of people don't know and things like that, but my job is to get people to know people that a lot of people may not know.
Right.
And so therefore, everybody is important, and everybody has a chance to have that exposure and things like that. So now you'll be on YouTube, on the YouTube channel and everything. But I love both of you so much dearly, and I'm very hungry right now. Thinking about all the stuff that I used to eat when I came to New Orleans. I'm so hungry right now.
I got spaghetti with your name on it, honey.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Gumbo when this is done.
Yeah, we're eating.
Oh my God.
We have gumbo for us when we're done.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I don't know how you can enjoy that virtually, but
I should just have Rain cut y'all off right now and just make the screen black. Y'all have gumbo right after this. Y'all hear that? Y'all see how they're making me suffer? They got gumbo, and I know it's good. I know it's good. Oh my God. Well, I love both y'all so much. Congratulations on your accomplishments in your lives, the things that you're doing to survive the pandemic, and the way that you're keeping the true art form of female impersonation alive is so very, very important. And I love both of you and appreciate you so much. And thank you for coming on and being a part of my dream, the Coffee Break. Ladies and gentlemen, from New Orleans, Louisiana, the Big Easy, we have Felicia Phillips and Tiffany Alexander. Thank you so much, ladies.
We love you.
Love you.
Love you, sister.
Love you so much. Bye-bye. Oh, my God.
You are my friend. I never knew it till late. Sing, my friend. You hold my hand. You might not see a word, but I see your tears when I show my pain.
We just here at the Coffee Break. We want to thank you for tuning in once again to the Coffee Break. As always, we want to remind you to stay safe, wear your mask, and please, please make sure you are registered to vote. We only have about 60 days, 60 some days before the election. And whatever you're doing that day, mark your calendars to make sure that you find time to go and vote. If there's early voting in your area, go ahead and do it and get it out of the way. The only way we can make a change is to vote, vote, vote. Remember, here at the Coffee Break, the brew is always going to be better and always going to be different, but it's always going to be good to the last drop. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Coffee Break.